You're listening to the LaRocque Life Podcast, where hosts Michael and Laura explore relationships, adventure, freedom, and just some all-around real and raw conversations. Drawing from their 17 years together with a bit of sarcasm, humor, tears, a few and lots of love. They deep dive into the male and female perspective on relationships and navigate the highs and lows of life together. Sit back, grab your love mug, and let's get into today's conversation.
All right, episode 39. We always start out with a laugh, so there you go. What do we talk about, babe?
We're going to talk about, we're going to share a little experience of something we were reminded of that's very important for our relationship, but I think a lot of couples are going to resonate with that. And that is really just making an intention and some committed time to slow down with each other.
Right. Can't go too fast.
I was like, did I just make that sound sexual? I
Nah,
feel like
whatever.
you could turn that. You just turn everything I say into something like that.
It's my job. It's what I do.
So when we were thinking about what to share tonight, we just kind of sunk into something we recently did. And I was feeling into like I don't know how much I learned from that, like how many things I had kind of forgotten or like I know, and I'm saying no in quotations, like
Right.
intellectually no, but like have forgotten what it feels like.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is the feel, hey? Because we
Yeah.
talk a lot and talk a lot about what we do. And obviously with your coaching, you help a lot of people. But until you can actually feel it,
Mhm.
live it,
Yeah.
then we come back to it, right? And it just feels
Yeah.
that much better.
And I think oftentimes we just forget how good something feels or how much we're actually missing something until we have it again.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
So, I mean, for you who are like, what the hell are you talking about? We'll let you in on the topic here. So last week, I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday, I was just randomly sitting at my desk working on our program. And I just had this idea that it would just be wonderful to get away for a weekend. And I mean, when's the last time we've gotten away for a weekend? When's the last time anyone's really gotten away for a weekend, right?
Oh, that's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, in the last, 11 months now, 10 months. And so right away I had these excuses come up of, well, it's too late. There's not enough time from like Tuesday till Friday to make plans. We don't really need to spend money on that. I don't want to inconvenience anyone. And then essentially I just kind of was like, goodness, is it even worth the effort of trying to make a plan, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times that's what we do in relationship. It's like we have these intentions of connecting and being together, but then by the time that time comes, or like it actually, the time comes to take action, we're so tired.
Oh yeah, you have the best of intentions.
Mhm.
We talk about that all the time, right? And you just you have all these ideas and you romanticize it in your head and all these things. Then when push comes to shove, you're like, fuck,
Yeah. I
I'm
know.
ready
It's
for
like,
bed.
do I have the energy to do all this? But something in my heart was like, yes, just make a few phone calls, talk to Mike about it, and see what happens. And so I did, and we did.
Yeah.
We ended up sneaking away for, I mean, it was 2 nights. It was essentially like a day and 2 sleeps.
Yeah, I could day in a little bit in the morning.
Yeah, but we just had some really interesting conversations on the way there. We
Yeah.
had about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive on the way there. And then even just a kind of a recap of what the experience of the weekend was and what we realized that we longed for, we were missing, right? Like going back to that whole, like we didn't realize that we were missing that until we had it again.
Yes. No,
Right.
exactly. Well, it was fun too, right? Like you just obviously Lennox he was with someone else, so it was great to not have to worry about him at all and
Yeah.
just let him do his own thing. And then we didn't have to worry about that at all, which is great. And
Mhm.
then just going back into like, it almost felt like those times where we're living in Europe or traveling through Europe or whatever. It felt like, we're in something new and it was just me and you and we're just doing our thing, right? It really felt, I don't know, it just felt good. I haven't felt that in a long time.
Well, it just sparked that connection again, right? And
Mhm.
like, I mean, we had to chill out and rest and kind of just relax for a bit, right? Because I mean, any of you who have had young kids or currently have young kids know that the days, they fly by.
There's no off switch, man.
Yeah, by the time nighttime comes, you're like, oh, cool, I got a couple hours to myself once he's in bed. But you're like, wow, okay, well, that's gone. Or like, I need to go to bed, right? So we definitely took some time to do that. But yeah, we actually rented an Airbnb, and it was like a studio apartment kind of thing. And it was decorated really cool. And it felt like we were in London again. So, I mean, you can recreate anything in your life and you don't really have to go that far, right? I mean, actually, this is kind of a side note, but when we lived in London, it was really funny because people would ask us if we'd been to certain places in the Rockies or the ice fields or like really places in our backyard here. And I would even see advertisements for the Rocky Mountains in the underground, like in the tube.
Yes.
Up on the top of the seating or whatever. And it's just funny because I would be like, no, we just came across the world to travel here and experience. But no, we hadn't actually been to the ice fields, right? Of course, we'd been to places in the mountains, but we hadn't been to the ice fields. And so it just was like.
Was that a big thing? Because when we came back, we went straight.
Yeah, then when we came home, we went because not my biggest, but one of my lessons I had learned there was like, we don't have to go to the other side of the world, or we don't have to go like, whatever, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, right? And like we can explore our own backyard. And I mean, holy shit, in the last 11 months has been like, here's an opportunity to explore your own backyard.
Yeah, no doubt, eh?
Right. But so it was cool because as you just said, like it really did spark that connection again, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it was just getting a little bit, well, everybody's locked up and doing whatever, right? So it's just getting a little, not stale, but well, I guess it would be stale, really. Like, I mean, there's not a whole lot to get excited about. And everyone's just kind of up in the air of not knowing really what's the next day is going to bring, right?
Yeah.
So it was good. For myself, for sure, it felt great. And then selfishly, just because like work's really starting to ramp up, it was great just to like chill out a little bit and get a bit of a break on that end. But and it afforded us a lot of time to really sunk into those feelings, which felt great. And then we were in a really good spot that whole day for helping create or finish creating this program, really, right? So it was, there's just so many good things around it. It was awesome.
Yeah. And so let's talk about our conversation on the way there, because we were just talking about how this can seem selfish, right? I know myself, that's my thinking, especially since having Lennox. I mean, he's 4 now, but we haven't really done much without him. We did go to Mexico for 1 week when he was 2, but otherwise, like, you know, a night here and there, we've never really like done too much without him, right? And so I think for sure my underlying belief was like that it's selfish to leave him. Like, I'm his mom. You're his dad,
that
like,
whole
he needs us,
mom
right?
guilt thing, really.
Yeah, and yeah, for sure, mom guilt. But I've really switched. Maybe it's because he's older and more, what's the word, like on his own.
Yeah, well, he's a very independent dude, right?
Yes,
so
independent.
he's got his own little attitude and little everything, right? So
yeah, and he enjoys having his own experiences, and so I'm kind of like, right, I'm not the only person that can supply you with, you know, memories and experiences. Like, I am your protector, but you're your own little soul who chose to come here, so you get to build memories and build experiences with other people, right? Other people in your life. But also, I just have realized that almost, I hope this doesn't sound terrible, but the more time I spend away from him, the better I am for him.
Yeah, no, that's...
And I don't mean like I'm spending shit tons of time away from him, but like the more I take time for myself, and then obviously learning this weekend for us, I just feel way more present, way more joyful. And so I guess he gets a better piece of me.
Yeah, and that's real too, right? Like most people with kids and stuff, they know. Like, yeah, I love them and love them to death, and that's my life. But at the same token, it's like, holy fuck, you forget who you are, right? At a certain point, because we talk, we have one kid, so let alone, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, like whatever, right? And they're all, and everybody has their own personalities, and I could just imagine what it's going to be like when we got more. But as a parent, yeah, you lose yourself in that. And I was thinking about that. I talk a lot about it with with my mom even now, like the conversations I have we've finally hit that line where it's kind of, well, we've had it for a few years now, but like doesn't have to be my mom anymore. She did her job, and she did that well, and now we can just talk and meet at a certain level, and it's so great to find out. I wish more people could have that opportunity. Like, you find out so much more about the person. Like, we just have a conversation, and so it's nice that way. But we talked about it before, like you forget. You can only see it as an adult now, but like you're watching your parents grow up. Your parents were trying to figure out life.
Yeah, you're all figuring out life at the same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you always are, right? But obviously, you hold them on a pedestal or whatever. I don't know how to explain that, but
they're
your parents
obviously
are just
more
like
experienced than you and know more than you.
Yeah, and they're your caregiver.
But if you think about it, like, we were birthed as parents at the same time, so our roles changed, right? So yes,
true, yeah.
We are changing with Lennox all the time. Like, we don't know what we're doing because who we were before him is different than our roles now, right? I mean, same but different. Like, we have extra responsibility.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I mean, just in that is just I keep reminding myself, like, that I am growing, and I'm just like, you have to keep growing as a person, and being this one thing isn't gonna make or break. Like, you're not just a parent and that's it, and that's what you are. And you see a lot of moms. I don't know about dads, really. Like, we don't talk a lot about that, I guess. But like, a lot of moms kind of get stuck, or they get pigeonholed in that, where it's like, I'm a mom now, and it's like 2, 3 kids, 4 kids, whatever it is, and it's like, that's who I am. It's like, fuck that. You were all these things before that, and there still has to be a remnants of that.
And you can be all the things. And I don't think they necessarily need to be even categorized, right? But I think for sure, like, wherever you're feeling, like, if you're feeling drained and tired and exhausted and in pain, or like whatever it is for you and whatever your story is right now, you definitely just need to remember who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, right? But I think it comes back to the relationship aspect as well, is that we do get into kind of a role, not our roles, but like a rhythm, a rut, sometimes you could even call
100%,
it, of just being Lennox's parents, right? And we forget that we actually are lovers.
Yeah.
Right? Especially because I deal with like chronic inflammation and pain in my body. And so by the time we do get Lennox to bed and we do business and we do all these things, and then I do my health stuff, it's like, I'm just tired and like, let's go to bed.
Oh, fuck yeah. And there's no blame there either. Like, that's a lot, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, well, I want to be more than that, and I want more with you, right?
Right.
And I know that a lot of couples fall into this. It doesn't matter. Again, like I said, I have the pain. Other people have many different things, right? We're all
so
carrying,
many things, stressors, work,
we're all carrying something. Exactly. And so I just think like the underlying theme here is that I don't want to say rut, but like, because rut's not quite the right word because it seems like quite extreme, but I guess maybe rut is the word. It's just, you're in this.
Well, you're in your rhythm, right? And that's what you're doing. You're just.
Yeah. And your
wake
parents.
up, go to bed, wake up, go to bed.
Your parents with this job, like career or stay at home or business or whatever. But you forget like why you're together. And, we've talked about this before, where suddenly it's always a shocker when someone's like last kid graduates and then those parents are divorcing, and you're like, what? No, like they've been together forever. Like they're so-and-so's parents. That's so weird. But it just kind of goes to show how, and that's not obviously everyone's story, but it just goes to show how if we let this continually happen and we don't be alive as individuals and then be alive as partners, or feel alive and cultivate those connections and those relationships, that what's the point?
Well, big time. And then you lose those little, you lose those conversations too. So then eventually you just, both those little, or both partners, there's all this like little naggy shit too.
Yeah.
And it just kind of eats away at you, but you're not having those conversations to squash those issues. So they just keep fucking building up and building up. And you're living life, you're paying the bills, and you're going to bed, and that's it. Right.
Yeah.
So then when time does come that you get a fucking like a moment to breathe, you look at the person, you're like, you did this, and this. Like,
these are all the things I need to talk to you about.
Yeah,
Here's
exactly.
List,
you're like, what the fuck? Why am I even doing this? Right. So I get that 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that comes back to this sort of visualization I had just today about kind of like cleaning the house, like every night we just do a quick clean before we go to bed. So we're set up for the morning, but you don't every day like wash the floor and spot treat the walls and with all the fingerprints and, dust the top of the shelves. Like you're not doing that deep clean every single day of your house.
Right.
And I feel like that's how relationships become. It's just like passing by in the hallway. You got your thing to do for the kids. I got this thing to do for the kids. We get the kids to bed. You got like your workout to do. I got this to do. And then it's like, okay, go to bed. So that deeper clean is like us actually slowing down enough to be able to look each other in the eye and be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, no doubt.
How
you doing?
How's your day? And for sure, I think we do that every day. Like when you come in, we're always like kiss and say, how was your day? But it's still in a passing. Like there's still a toddler screaming. Not screaming. I make him sound like so crazy, but just needs something, right? Needs to show us his projects and needs the attention. And so it just is not the same as it was when we had that Airbnb and could just like lay there all day in bed, work on the computer, get up, do some yoga, order some takeout, and just have conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that was just like the biggest thing for me. Like it was funny because on the way there, we were talking about how this actually isn't selfish. And then afterwards, I was just thinking, God, no, it's not selfish because now I actually feel prepared for just taking on the week and being more present, like I said, with Lennox and with you, because now I feel like we're more connected this week because of that, right?
Well, we had some really good conversations, especially like you're talking about with parenting, right? Just how we were doing things. And it was a great check-in. You're just like check in with yourself, and then we like talk to each other about how things are going. And it really afforded us time to think about it and make those adjustments now, or talk about those adjustments and start making them. And it's showing this week even, right?
Yeah.
There's a few nights like when we first got back, it just played out exactly how we talked, and how we had to work more of a team and like trade off and do different things, and it helped out big time. Like it's leaps and bounds, right?
Like we made like safe words. Well, we joked about safe words because I don't think we actually did because I don't remember them now.
There is no safe word.
But like we were just joking because I said, sometimes my patients are just really thin and I just need you to come in and relieve me like at bedtime or certain things, right? And because some nights I just don't have patience.
No, that's fair, man.
My body hurts so bad. I'm just like, I just need you to like take me out without coming in and getting mad, right? That was kind of one of our conversations. And I mean, what we conversed about isn't important, but what the important piece is that we were able to like fully open our hearts and actually talk about things without blaming. Because I know like during the week when things are hectic, if I was just like, I need you to come in and, tap out so that I can go get out of the room, but I don't want you to start a fight and like get mad and blah, blah, blah. Right. Like, that's how I would feel in that moment because it's just like intense. But I mean, communication skills is to definitely not speak like that in the moment. And that's what allowed us that opportunity, is to be slowed down enough to actually just like have a civil conversation and just, like you said, problem solve and come to solutions, both recommending ideas and both like sharing, because you shared too, like what you're not happy with, right?
Oh, totally. It worked out great. And you have that time and you make that container. Talk about that a lot now. Make this container that you can both talk and be safe, and you're not going to attack each other, and just
it's a safe space.
Yeah,
right?
and just come up with a game plan.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It worked out awesome, I think. And I mean, this was like but it's not one and done, right? Like we got to make sure we keep that going whether it's like once every couple months or whatever that looks like, but to really set aside something and do that. And it's fun in the sense of, I was never that person with Airbnb or anything like that before I moved to Europe, right? It was always like, fuck that, we're staying in a hotel.
Was Airbnb even like a big thing though before we moved to Europe? Like so circa 2013?
It was just kind of like starting maybe.
Oh, okay.
But I remember that and something else. But just trying to I remember you talking a little bit about trying to think outside the box and just doing different things. I was like, no, we're staying in a fucking hotel.
And you would like to just go to an all-inclusive and stay
Yeah,
there
like for any of those
and
kind of
not
trips,
take any
right?
trips
Like,
outside of the resort.
no,
Like,
it's funny.
P.S. You were like, "There's free booze here. Why wouldn't we stay?
Well, why would you
We
leave?
paid for this.
Why would you leave when there's free booze? But
and get blacked out drunk."
yeah, well, it's neither here. What are we talking about here?
It's bringing up the past.
Yeah, drinking up old shit. But no, seriously. I mean, it really is like why. Well, for that, why would you leave a resort with that you got to go somewhere and buy all these beers? Like, fuck that noise.
Because you want to go and experience the culture. That's what I always think.
I see that, and I mean, it can go both ways. The only, yeah. Anyway, that's another. We'll talk about travel another time. But no, now it's like wide open. And these Airbnbs now, they're so like everything's like the way people even design them, or like our buddy Coleman, like he has an agency now in Edmonton, and they put together different places and they do like really cool, just decorating, and they're really cool spaces and like concrete walls and all these different things, and it just gets you in a really creative zone.
Mm-hmm.
And you can relax, and it just puts you in a nice space where you don't have to worry about anything, and then we can talk about other things, right? We're not worried about the house or
Yeah, well, that's actually one of the things, because one of my friends was like, "Why don't you could just stay home for a weekend, right, and send Lennox off?" And I was like, "No, then I would just tick off like my to-do list." And she said, "Well, if you're planned enough during the week, then you don't." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I just look at my house and I'm like, oh, I need to go do that. I should do that." Mm-hmm. This is like, with having a 4-year-old, there's always things to do. Right?
Oh, exactly, right?
Like, I should wash the walls. Oh, look at that dust on the ceiling.
Wow,
it's really hard for me
look
to
at that Lego on that table. We should color coordinate that.
Yeah, that's
because that lost.
But my brain doesn't work that way. And
no, it's good to get outside this space too. Mm-hmm. Like we fucking work from home, and just everything is like home, right? Which is great, and I love our place, but it's just good to get outside. It jars something. Well, for myself anyway, it just jars something loose, and you can just really get creative and just, you can, make a pot of coffee in the coffee maker, but it's kind of nice to go to like a nice little cafe and it's like grabbing a couple fucking Americanos and, just things like that. It's, again, it doesn't have to happen every day by any means, but just gets you in that creative zone. And
it's just new energy.
Yeah,
right?
It just feels good, right? Because
infusing yourself and your relationship with new energy, essentially.
Yeah, and it doesn't, exactly. It doesn't have to be great, grand things. Like, I mean, we're literally, hour and a half away, 2 hours away. It's just, it's just nice. It's really, really needed. Yeah,
exactly. And so, I mean, really, that's all we wanted to share today. It's not to sit here and talk about like, oh, look at what we did. Like it's literally like, okay, we were reminded of these things and we wanted to share this with you in case you need to be reminded of it too.
Well, it's that whole,
right?
You got it, I mean, cliche, right? But you got to fill your own glass or put on that oxygen mask before you help someone else. Like you have to, because especially us, like in you, like being creative is you can't coach all these people, and it's a big energy. It's, you're taking on people's energy, you're doing different things, and that's just a lot without any kind of reprieve or like a break from that, right? And especially being at home, and you do all your work from home, and then if you're trying to relax at home, it just does nothing. It just doesn't compute, right? Yeah.
And I mean, on the same note, though, we were kind of talking about like, okay, so let's think about these times. Like, this is COVID times, right? And so getting away isn't always an opportunity, right? Whether it's financial or obviously the safety precautions and what's shut down and where you're allowed to go and
it's true,
all this kind of jazz, right? But you can get creative. And I am not going to sit here and tell you what's wrong or what's right and what you should do or what you could do. Like,
Yeah, no, you just do you. Yeah. That's the only thing you should say about that. But
slow down enough in your chaos to listen to what your heart is guiding you to and what it's asking of you, and then act on it. Because you can stay home. You can do it after bedtime. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to have help. But you can also ask for help, because I think a lot of us just think it's easier to not ask for help, right?
Well, I don't want to inconvenience you.
Yeah, don't want to inconvenience anyone. That was my first thought. But generally, people want to help, and you're not inconveniencing them. Like, if you flip that switch, someone asking you, like, would you want them to think that they're inconveniencing you by asking you to help them.
Well, most people wouldn't.
No, like be like, no, I want to help you. So just whenever you're thinking that way, just like flip that and be like, well, I would want to help someone. So chances are they're going to want to help me as well. But at the same time, asking them gives them an opportunity to say no, right? They're going to say yes or they're going to say no. And either way, it's not your problem. I know a lot of codependent women, that is our problem because we think then we're responsible for, well, that person's going to say yes, but they really don't want to, right? Well, that's actually not your problem. That's their problem.
Fucked up, eh? Like you get the answer you want and you're still trying to find the problem with it.
Yeah. And I know that really well because, I mean, that was me, right? Always feeling responsible for everyone else and saying yes when I wanted to say no. And so ask for help. That person can say no if they want. And like I said, if they say yes, but they wanted to say no, well, that's
their own, they got their own stuff to work through.
They need to work through that. But yeah, like, so we're just sitting here to inspire you to, if you're feeling it, maybe you're not feeling this at all. And you're just like, no, I connect with my partner enough on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or monthly basis. And what we're doing is great. Well, awesome. I'm happy for you. I am generally happy for you because you are an anomaly.
For the most part, yeah.
Right. For most of the couples that we talk to anyways, in the ones who listen to our podcast and reach out to us, right? And women I coach. A lot of people are seeking a deeper connection and a real connection, right? And so if you have that, I'm so happy for you. If you don't, get creative. Just get creative. It doesn't have to be that way, right?
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to sum that up. What do we got? What's this course you're talking about?
This course I'm talking about. What's this thing that you snuck away to work on? I mean, as if you don't know yet, unless you've been living under a rock or, just busy living your life and not actually listening to our podcast all the time. Good one.
Anyway.
Okay. So I know everyone who listens to this probably just thinks I'm like such a cow when it comes to your jokes because...
Oh, no. They're too busy laughing. They don't hear the shit from you.
My response is always like, oh my God. But I do laugh at Mike's jokes sometimes.
Every once in a while. There are a lot. I even catch myself being like, shut up. Fuck. But anyway, carry on.
Are you seeking attention?
Am I?
Mm-hmm.
My whole life. Yeah.
Are you feeling?
I was a baby on a farm with older parents. Look at me. Anyway.
That's uncalled for. Okay, so our program is called Safe and Wild, and it is a 6-week group program that we are taking couples through. And we're diving into the feminine and masculine energy, discovering your roles and how to ignite passion and intimacy. And then we're going to go through patterns and really recognizing patterns, but not only just recognizing them, like what to do about them, how to start changing them and shifting them if they're unhealthy and not empowering your relationship. And we're going to go deeper into communication and just like really giving you a lot of tools. This was actually one of the biggest things that all of the applications that came in when people asked like what they were really hoping to get out of it was communication tools.
Oh, massive, right? And it's like, well, it's so easy to talk about it, but you have to actually do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot to it. And I wish they would have taught us at that marriage course for Catholics when we took it for that day or 2 days. But
you couldn't wait to get out of there.
Oh, fuck.
I thought that was the stupidest thing we had to do.
Right up there, yeah. But I mean, it's such an easy thing to talk about or like glaze over, right? Like, yeah, we communicate, but you have to really get into it. And then you can have those conversations and again, make that safe space to have those talks.
Yeah, I think that, and I speak from experience, I think that a lot of us who think about communicating in relationships really have no idea what that actually means.
No, but we've never been taught, right? Like,
no, exactly.
I want all these things I see on movies and TV and shit, but like no one ever taught me how to do any of that, and that shit's not even real anyway. So
yeah,
I mean, they only show that little highlight, then they don't show what the fuck happened in the rest of those days, right?
Yeah, but I think like when people think communication in the beginning, it's like obviously how to get along, how to communicate, how to get along, right? How to solve problems, and conflict resolution is definitely an aspect. But I think what so many people, and I'll speak for women because I talk to a lot of women about this, are craving is like that communication that like matters, right? Like sharing my heart and my soul and my feelings with you, right? Like with the man I love, with my partner, not what the kids are up to, what's going on in the house, how your job was, like what's going on. That's all great and it's all needed. But like really sinking into that deeper level of communication, like almost looking into your soul, kind of conversing, right? I know that that's what a lot of women are craving.
Right.
And so that's why I say, like, I think a lot of us who think about communication are kind of like, we have no idea. And I had no idea until we were able to start communicating my needs. I was able to communicate my needs because I was able to figure out what those even were and what my desires were and what my wants on a deeper level, but then to even be able to talk to you about it, because there was a time where I was like, I couldn't share this with you.
I didn't have the capacity to accept it really. Right. So.
Well, there was ego involved, right? And there was some conflict and just different things, different relationship patterns, and just a whole bunch of different stuff at play that it makes it really hard. So, I mean, there are levels to it, right? And so obviously coming into this program, it totally depends on where you're at in your relationship. I mean, we're not saying like, oh, you're just going to be speaking to each other's souls by the end of this 6-week program.
Good tagline.
Right. But we designed it to meet you where you're at, right? So if you're a couple who already has pretty good communication skills like day to day, but you want to learn to go deeper, you're definitely going to get this out of the program by exploring feminine and masculine, your roles, being able to understand that deeper, and then bringing in deeper communication tools. That's all going to go like hand in hand, full circle. Yeah. But if you're also like, we're really shitty at communicating or resolving conflict or like even knowing why we're talking about the same shit over and over and over again, it's going to help you as well. I always think group coaching is interesting because it's like, I think the couples who come together are like divinely planned.
It is, yeah. 100%.
Right? And you always see something in someone else or another couple that highlights something for you that you didn't even really know or know how to put words to, or, you know, realize maybe that was an issue, or realize that you had something really good. Like there's just so many things that these couples mirror for us. And so I think that the group part is amazing, but I always say to people, you could listen or even go through the modules or listen to the group Zoom calls every day and get something different from it.
Yes, absolutely. You can. And I really like that because I talked about it before too with the men's group, but there's always people working on something that seems like it has nothing to do with you, but after you get through it or talk about it, then it's like, oh shit, it just hits so many points. Yeah. But no, that's awesome. So jacked up for that. And it really is exciting. It's getting close and it's going to be awesome.
I just want to add one more thing about conversation. What I'm really excited about through the 6 weeks is that it's going to spark a lot of conversation between couples. Yes.
And just talking about shit that you just don't talk about, right? Which is great. Like, I mean, there's really nothing's off limits or off topic, right?
And also what I love is that it's like sparking conversation about change, not about conflict, right? Like we're not going to counseling because we're having this issue. I mean, yes, you might still be going through issues coming through our program, of course. I think we're always kind of having issues, right? But it's just so much more of like, I think an empowering and forward thinking. And that's what coaching is. It's like, let's set some goals. Let's work on, you know, what's not serving you to get to where you want to go, right? And then I think our kind of coaching, or I'll speak for myself in my coaching with my ladies, is very healing as well, right? Like just feeling heard, feeling safe, letting go, and then able to move forward. So.
No, that's awesome.
So we start February 8th and we're accepting applications. I mean, February 7th, I guess. We never really discovered or decided.
We'll see where you end up with the group. We're about halfway there now. So, I mean, it won't take long. And then we'll get through this. It's going to be awesome to figure out, just to find our groove.
Yeah. And that was what we were going to say. Oh, I had to stretch my leg. What we were going to say is that this is like our pilot group, right? So we've discounted it immensely for what you get. And we're not going to run it again for another 8 or 9 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
it's a 6-week program. So I guess maybe more like 7-8 weeks. And it's never going to be this price again. It's $297 right now per couple. So one price. But after this and the next time we run it, it's going to be $555.
Yeah, which is
couple.
still for
so
a couple
cheap.
is nuts. Yeah,
that price people told me is too cheap, let alone this $297 price.
right. Yeah,
But we talked about that on one of the other episodes. We just want to serve you.
no,
Right?
exactly right. And
Yeah.
that's just it. And it just every time we talk to somebody now, it just kind of breaks my heart. Like, fuck, man.
It can be better.
Yeah, we'll do this, and it's not gonna be perfect by any means, but at least it'll be better.
It can be better.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just speaking your truth is
If
the
you're
biggest one, right?
Open, it can be better.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Okay, well, it's enough banging on, I think. Eh?
Are you gonna make a joke?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, that's enough banging on.
I'm trying to be. That's my European talk now.
Oh, okay. So, speaking of London.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well,
No, that's good.
I love you.
Love you too.
Love you guys. Thanks for
Thank
listening.
you.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at LaRocque Life Podcast and online at LaRocqueLife.com. Ladies, find Laura on social media at Laura LaRocque and online at LauraLaRocque.com. Have a request for a show topic? We love that. Send us an email at michael@LaRocqueLife.com or DM at LaRocque Life Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.